Discussion with Kristy Moeller, PMI's Discipline Agile Product Manager. The topic of today's All Things Discipline Agile. I'm Joshua Barnes, and thank you everyone for joining us live. I see that some people have already posted a hello and where they're from, and I'll ask everybody to continue doing that. So Kristy, how about you give a little introduction of yourself?
Yeah, so hi everyone, it's good to be here. So since Joshua tasked everybody with saying where they're from, I'm going to start with saying where I'm from. So I'm from the suburbs of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in a college town called Westchester, and I live out in the rural area, so it's very lovely here. So a little bit about me, I actually started in PMI in 2006, so it's been a little over 17 years. So I've been working behind the scenes for quite some time. I know I've worked with a couple people that are saying hi on the chat, so it's good to see your names come up. And so I really was in the online learning, training, professional development world up until 2021, I believe. And then I joined the DA team and working really closely with Mark and Scott and all of the folks in the back end on DA. And then when they left PMI, I worked with some people to do a transition and a knowledge transfer, and then officially took over ownership this past year. So I've been working in the background on DA for a pretty long time, and now kind of front and center.
Fantastic. Okay, so we've got a few things that we wanted to talk about today, and then we'll see what possible questions we might be able to get to. And the first one, and this is one that based on previous live streams and again, just comments and posts and other stuff that's going on. Yeah. Lots of investment that's been going on in the DA browser, and it's become one of the focal points from an asset standpoint. I mean, the knowledge base and being able to get to all that great content. What additional investments in the DA browser, things like translations, integrations, et cetera, can we possibly expect to see?
Yeah, so this is a great question. And so first I want to talk about why we're focusing on the browser. And this is actually based upon some research that I did last year with some of the people that were really heavily invested into DA. And I asked them what DA's superpowers are. And everybody unanimously said that the browser is one of the biggest superpowers that DA has. And so, of course, hearing that as a consistent theme across the board, made it a really easy topic for investment. So absolutely. So one of the things that we're doing is we're making sure that it meets PMI security standards. So there's a lot of kind of technical design in the background that we're doing, so we can make sure that we're thinking about it from a future-centric perspective. And this includes maybe some custom instances, so an organization or a project team can make some configurations. So we're thinking about doing stuff like that. So that's going to be something that you'll see in the future we're just working on right now to enable that to happen. But I think one of the more obvious aspects of the browser for investment is to add additional content to the browser. We know that the browser is really kind of robust in certain areas, but is lacking in other areas. And so what we're doing is we're working to create and fill that content and fill those content gaps. And also the profession is ever evolving, ever changing, ever moving. And so we definitely want to be aware of that to make sure that we're always forward thinking. So that's going to be something that you'll see as well. Another topic that's super interesting, but relatively new is AI, right? So AI is a big thing, and I know that's something that Scott's also investing in. And so we're trying to investigate what it looks like to embed AI into knowledge bases. And definitely the Discipline Agile knowledge base is a great use case for that. So we're trying to see if that's something that we can do now, or at least set up the infrastructure behind the scenes so that's something that we can easily do. And as you mentioned last week, I believe you discussed it, Joshua, with Mark and Scott, we just added the Google Translation feature to the browser. So we're really, really excited about that. I hope that's really a value add to people who are using it. The other thing I want to say about the browser that actually came up last time too is that There is a pop-up feature within the browser. And one of the reasons why we're doing that is we want to capture data on people who are using the browser so we can understand how to better meet your needs. Are you coming with a specific pain point? Are you using the browser to solve that pain point? And if you aren't, what can we do to make sure that that does happen? So we're trying to embed this feedback loop within the browser so we can make it, just a more robust tool, because again, if it's DA's superpower, we want to make that thing just the most amazing asset that we have.
Yeah. For those of you that have maybe not seen the DA browser before, again, we'll drop a link to the browser once we wrap up the live stream. But yeah, the one last week showing, right, the translate, right, the different languages that we're able to see was absolutely fantastic. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check that out. I have this week. I'm actually delivering the Discipline Agile Value Stream Consultant course, and so there's been some discussion in the course, and then I've gleaned, like I do in every one of these deliveries, right, some of the additional content, for instance, in the value stream layer. And I know that there were a few questions. I believe Aldo Rawl asked a couple of really good questions around that. So Aldo, I don't know if you're on today, but if you are, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of content, like Kristy said, that are in the varying sort of layers or containers of information in the browser. But we'll hopefully see through some co-creation opportunities. That's something else that I'm going to ask Kristy about in just a few minutes, to be able to augment some of what's in there. The other thing I'd like to mention is if you're in the DA browser and you're clicking through the process goal diagrams, and again, the way it's laid out, right, you have, the brief description, so some context of what an option is, and then you have trade-offs. If you click on a process goal or possibly something in a decision point and the table at the bottom is empty, it's just a placeholder for right now. It's not a bug. It's not something that's one of the places that some of the additional content Kristy spoke of will be going to in the future. All right, Kristy. So the next thing I wanted to ask you about, right, is, which ties into this, how are you planning to engage the community for co-creation opportunities?
Yeah. So I love this question. And so I talked about the superpowers of DA, and one of that being the browser. Well, the superpower of PMI is our volunteer community base. We have, hundreds of volunteers. I think it's, tens of hundreds, or, 10,000 plus volunteers. And so that's an area for us to kind of sync DI and PMI up. And so that's absolutely one of the things that we're going to be doing moving forward. So we have 2 specific volunteer opportunities posted right now, and these are just 2 of the many to come. The first is we're looking for, as we just mentioned, adding to the browser, and we started off with the DevOps section of the browser. So we want to put together a specific volunteer group for that area of content. That has been posted for a little bit, where we've extended it till the 8th of September. So that opportunity will close as of the 8th of September, and then we'll select our candidates, and hopefully we'll be able to add content pretty quickly there. We will be focusing on other topic areas of the browser as well. So one thing that I ask again is, to be community focused, is if anybody has a certain area that they would like us to focus on next, or if anybody is interested in participating, please add on this chat, message me on LinkedIn, because we definitely want to take your feedback to see. We don't want it to just be PMI saying this is where we're going to go. We want to definitely get feedback from the community to give us, and as we see trends coming through, that's when we'll flag it. So that's the content of the browser. The second opportunity we have right now is what PMI calls a stakeholder group. So these are people that represent themselves or people like them. So their colleagues, their friends, or anybody who is similar to them. And we're looking for people who are working on project teams, so project professionals, but it can be, a Scrum Master, it can be, an Agile team member, it can be a PMP, it can be a CAPM, whatever it is, but somebody who's working on a project team that would be using the browser and the mindset of Discipline Agile to empower your teams to, choose your way of working. And so what we want to do is we want to assemble this team of stakeholders, and I think we're looking for like 10 people or so that would guide us and our core DA team from, usually the term is 1 year, 1 calendar year, but because we're starting midterm, so because we'd be starting in mid-September, it's going to go for the rest of this year and then all of next year. And so we're looking for a team of people that would be willing to guide us. And it's probably between 1 and 5 hours a month. And we would assign you with specific tasks. And, we would have we would guide you on specific things to discuss. But ultimately, you'd be helping guide our team to make sure that we're making and implementing strategy, products, and services that align with the needs of the community. So that's the second group that we're looking for. It's definitely, an important aspect of this for us. And again, we really value the community's input. So these are the two specific opportunities we have right now. There'll be more. And as I mentioned, reach out to us or provide feedback to us, because the more we see trends happen, the more it'll influence us to make certain decisions.
Yeah, a great opportunity. And I know that Curtis Hibbs has posted at least the one for the DevOps opportunity in the Discipline Agile LinkedIn group. So I'll make sure that I get that link, and I'll post it again after we wrap up this live stream. But yeah, the link to how to be able to try and get involved is there. All right. So Kristy, what can you tell us about, we've been previous live streams, we talked about DA for Teams workshops. It's a net new training offering. We've talked about it being an initial starting point, but there could be others.
Yep.
What can you share?
So I actually also see a note from Carlos that is talking about a similar question. So basically, it's kind of like the roadmap question and what was planned right now. So again, this is where our community groups are really going to help us. Our volunteer groups are going to help us. And this is where the community and having feedback is going to help us. So right now, we have launched the DA for Teams. That is really an alpha. It's a test, right? So it's not publicly available. It's not widely available. We're trying to test to see if this is the right fit for our target audience. The next, as we kind of run through the pilot for this particular program and we'll get feedback, then, might be something we operationalize next year and launch. We're going to be doing the same thing with other starting points. So we have the Scrum starting point, and we're going to be looking at a project management starting point. One thing that I really want to make sure everybody knows is that we are taking an entrepreneurial approach to the way we're creating content and the way we're kind of testing our content. And so we are going to be really testing a lot of things. We have this kind of small pocket of space that we're going to be using to test it, and that's with our Discipline Agile consulting partners. And so that's how we're going to be rolling out some net new topics that we're going to test with our market. So so right now it's the Scrum base that Joshua has mentioned previously, and then we'll be starting a project management approach starting point. So this is for a project team that is leveraging PMI's approach, PMBOK Guide, PMP, and wants to figure out how to kind of use Agile, embed Agile into their process without going full Agile, if that makes sense.
Fantastic. All right. So one last thing before maybe we look at some of the questions. So what else can you share with us for, either our current point in time or, again, some of the other things in the future?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest message that I want to share with everybody that I think has been a question for quite some time is PMI investing in DI? And the answer is absolutely. We are absolutely investing in DA. And so I hope that message comes out loud and clear as we talk about all the things that we're thinking about doing. The other thing I can say is that because we are doing this testing type entrepreneurial environment, we invite anyone who is going to Global Summit to stop by our booth and talk with us about DA. So Global Summit, for anybody who doesn't know, is PMI's largest event, and it's in October in Atlanta. Go to our PMI website to find more information about that. And if you are planning on going, please stop by the booth. We will definitely, from now to that time that we are at the Global Summit, we'll have more information. So please reach out. If you're not able to go, please connect with me on LinkedIn, and message me, and we can set up time to talk, and I can share, more details. And, we'll share what we know as we try to build out this net new portfolio of products that we're testing. We still have the existing portfolio available for anybody who's familiar with that. We have the DISM, SSM, DAVSC, and DAC, as Joshua mentioned. He just is teaching the DAVSC this week. So we're certainly investing in those products still as well. But we're trying to build out, what else can we add to this portfolio?
Yeah, and so for everybody that is watching this live, or if you're watching it on replay, in addition to any questions, which is great, we'll start taking a look at some of those. But post things that you would like to see within DA, or if you feel that there are gaps, your organization, your customers are in need of something, whether they're, again, using an alternative approach, right, an existing framework, or they're ad hoc, they're hybrid, what have you. Because those are the things that Kristy and the team really are going to be able to take into consideration to be able to, again, know where to focus the efforts, where to really meet the needs of everybody that can get the benefits out of Discipline Agile. So yeah, the more feedback, right, the better. Kristy, I see there's questions in here, and if there's any that you're able to possibly talk about, let's see what we've got. It's been great, everybody posting where you're from as well.
Yeah, I do see a question about the Chapter Champion program. I know that was something that was started, and we didn't really take it anywhere. So I want to acknowledge that. It is something that we're working on and we're thinking about. And we're working closely with the chapter program to make sure that we have a meaningful chapter presence or solution from a Discipline Agile perspective. So stay tuned there. Know that it is coming, but I don't have a finite answer right now.
Excellent. I'm just taking a look myself to see if there's anything else that I can spot in between. Again, all the posts of where people are. By the way, I haven't posted. Yeah, so I'm in Jacksonville, Florida as well. I guess I typically don't post, and so that's where I'm from.
So I also see a question about why is DA not prioritized like the PMP by PMI? And so I do want to share that the way we're looking at DA right now is integrating it more closely with the PMP. And so the PMP, for those who don't know, it was fully traditional waterfall project management. And in 2021, Agile and hybrid concepts were added to the PMP. And so, it does kind of, I call it this like middle space, the situational space that the PMP fits there now. And so DA being, a solution that covers the full spectrum from Agile, hybrid, and traditional also sits in that middle space. And so kind of making the world more aware of both of these products being in this middle space, I think will align it better, and it'll do only good for the PMP and DA.
Excellent. Let's see. I don't see any other questions, and we're just about out of our planned time. Oh, and looks like, yes, Mark. Thank you for asking. Yeah, so I'm safe from the storm. We were very fortunate where I'm at, not as fortunate as hopefully others are as far as the hurricane that's come through. So yes, I'm fine for now. I can just hear a lot of wind and rain going on, but that's no big deal. How about this, Kristy? Anything we can share here or not?
No, I just saw that question as well. We definitely recognize that the ACP and DI are in a similar space as far as an Agile certification journey. Because we are transitioning DA to be more of a B2B solution, we hope that kind of clarifies the ACP. PMI is still investing in the ACP, and it's a really important product for us. So we think that having the ACP be this B2C solution and DIB this more organizational agility solution will clarify both of the products, if that helps.
Yeah, and so one of the things again I like to ask everybody that's as we're getting close, like post once we wrap up here. So the DA browser and its ability to be an organizational design tool, and some of the additional content either that comes through some of the volunteer opportunities that Kristy spoke about, or even additional content that's brought in from like the DA micro site. If that's something that you feel would benefit you, benefit again your customers or the organization that you're working at, share some thoughts there. What type of content that might be already existing within DA's guidance, or again in the greater PMI ecosystem, that might lend itself to being brought into the DA browser for again something that would be additional value to everybody. That's something I think that would be quite interesting. And with that, we're right at our planned time. So Kristy, thank you again for attending. Hopefully it won't be too long before maybe we have you back. Maybe we can do some form of a panel discussion with the other consulting partners, get some dialogue going there. I think I've got another one that is being planned with John Monroe. He's going to be taking a look at how we can use the DA browser to do some tailoring in conjunction with some of the areas of PMBOK. I think that's one we're going to plan for the next couple of weeks. And thanks again for everybody in attendance, and we'll see you on the next All Things Discipline Agile.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Joshua.